السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. شيخ حسن، كيف الحال?
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله بخير.
Firstly, I'd like to thank you for visiting Yorkshire and blessing us with your presence. I thought of utilizing our time today to follow up on what we discussed initially. The initial conversation we had was just liqa afawi, something casual, easy. Alhamdulillah, many people benefited from it and many people enjoyed it also. And we thought let's delve a little bit more deeper, inshallah, in tackling some questions or issues or certain advices perhaps you can share with us to, ideally the end goal is to become a great reciter of the Qur'an, a true reciter of the Qur'an, and of course at the same time fulfilling its obligations. But before we begin, I must ask you to share a little bit about yourself. So the question is, who is Shaykh Hassan Khalifa? من وين جاء?
You read who is Hassan Khalifa?
Inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My name is Hassan Khalifa. I was born in UK. I began my journey of the Quran in UK until the year 2008. Then I've traveled to Yemen. And that's where I've not completed my Quran, but I've continued my Quran journey until 2009. I've came back to UK again, and I've still carried on with my hifz until the year 2010, where I went to Egypt, and that's where the story begins.
But let's begin the story a little bit earlier. Your upbringing, your household, you are from a family of Qur'an, of ilm.
So my father, he's an imam masjid back in 2001 in a masjid called Al-Ansar Islamic Education Center in Ilford, East London. So he was imam there, and he opened a madrasa where he teaches the students from 5 to 7, normal madrasa. So I used to go to that madrasas too. So I began from home. Then my dad was my first teacher. So I began with my father. Then my father took me to madrasa to carry on or to continue my hifz journey. So I was reading to a teacher in Al-Ansar, the masjid. I had multiple mashayikh or multiple of teachers. One of them, until now I remember, his name is Muhammad. He's from Iraq. Sheikh Muhammad, Ustad Muhammad. He's from Iraq. He used to teach us. He used to teach me Qur'an. That time I was in the Juz 28. And then I had another teacher. His name is Salim. He's from Nigeria. He studied in Medina. I used to do my hifz with him as well until 2007, where 2007 I went to Yemen. 2007 I went to Yemen, and I've carried on learning. I was studying in a Dar al-Hadith Ma'bar in Yemen, under a Shaykh. His name is Shaykh Muhammad al-Imam. He was the Shaykh of the Markaz in Yemen. So I stayed there till around 2009. Then I came back to UK again, and I've carried on in the same madrasa where I began, Al-Ansar, till end of 2009, December. That's where my family planned to go to Egypt.
Brilliant. With regards to your father, I want to touch upon this point. The importance of how did it assist you to have a father who was involved actively in your education with the Qur'an at a young age. What did you feel like he contributed towards your studies?
He contributed everything. Like, I think so without him, I don't even think so I would have known Qur'an, because I remember when I was young.
You mentioned that from a young age you would play a Shatibiya cassettes in the car.
Yes.
And you were exposed to this kind of knowledge from a very young age, I guess.
Yeah, he used to, as a little story as well, that one of my father's friends gave a cassette of Shatibiya This was around 2003.
And how old were you then?
I was around maybe 7 or 8.
MashaAllah.
I was still memorizing the Qur'an. So he played Shatibiya first time in the car, and I really enjoyed the way how it was by Sheikh Mishal al-Afasi.
Allah.
So I really enjoyed the way how Sheikh Mishal al-Afasi was reciting Shatibiya. Then randomly I just started memorizing the abiyat, the lines, until it came to a time I used to even take my dad's car without him knowing, sitting in his car to just listen to Shatibiya.
But you're not driving it, huh?
No, I just sit down and just play the Shatibiya by myself.
MashaAllah.
How I used to love it so much by Sheikh Mishal al-Afasi. And then I started memorizing, and then my father told me, look, you still don't even memorize Qur'an yet. And Shatibiya is a poem where a student wants to memorize Qira'āt.
Allah.
So if you want to actually go into memorizing poem, I advise you, if you want, I can print a poem called Tuhfatul Atfal. It's a very basic tajweed poem. It's not long, it's about 62 lines of poetry. You can memorize it, recite to me, then I can proceed you to another poem called Al-Jazariyah. Then you can start memorizing that. But Shatibiya is still not your level yet. You still don't even memorize Qur'an yet. But I still used to like listening to Shatibiya. The way how Sheikh Mishal, he had it
With the echo.
with the echo, with
The delay.
and as like people are saying it with him,
Yeah.
2-3 people, but it's in the same voice. It really beautiful. I really loved it so much. Even the time when I was memorizing Shatibiya, I couldn't memorize it until for his voice. Like example, if I even listen to Sheikh Abdul Rashid Sufi or Sheikh Taha al-Fahad, I will listen to them. But when I do want to read, or when I want to remember the lines, I will have to copy Mishal al-Afasi's tone so I could remember the next line of the poetry.
Brilliant. So you were exposed to Shatibiya before your hifth. During your hifth. What else apart from this exposure to abiyat or mutun did you benefit from your father?
Also I benefited from my father, that he is the one who showed me the Iqra, like, because he used to recite to Mashayikh in London. So he read to a Shaykh called Shaykh Akram Hamdan. Back then he's from Palestine, and he was living in West London. So my father, he used to go to him and recite to him Hafs. So he used to take me with him.
And he completed his Ijazah.
And he completed his Ijazah, yes. So when I used to look the way how he used to recite to Mashayikh, he got me even doing the same thing after I've completed my...
Following his footsteps, yeah. Oftentimes the best way to teach a child is by what they see in us as parents. I think this is something I've learned from having children, more than what they see, than what you say to them. Absolutely. So moving on to the madrasa, how was the transition between learning at home and then moving to a madrasa?
Learning at home, it was a bit like, I used to do extra. Like, I used to do home, as my dad was one of the teachers in the madrasa. Or he was the head teacher of madrasa in Masjid al-Ansar. And he was an imam and khatib as well. Like, he was an imam and khatib and a teacher in madrasa. So I used to, when I want to do extra, of course, my dad is at home, I read to him as well. Like, if I don't, example, weekends, I would read to him, maybe memorize the page or the section where my teacher gave me in the weekdays. So I memorized that, and I told my dad to listen to me then he used to give me even more after I finished my part or my portion of my memorization.
Brilliant. So you had a qualified revision partner to hold you accountable. We'll touch upon this later, inshallah, because I wanted to share that recently at our institute, a lot of times we have admissions from parents who have had low engagement with the Qur'an in the teen years, and they become parents now. They feel like, I need to be there for my child and I'm not able to contribute as much, and I feel a little bit less, and I have to rely on just a teacher in the madrasa, whereas they feel like, if I had learned at a younger age, maybe I could have been more valuable to my child in imparting this knowledge. So the madrasa experience, how was the madrasa experience? What age were you there? And you completed your hifz there?
No. So the madrasa experience, I was around 7 years old. I was young. Or maybe 7 to 8 years old. I was in that madrasa. Sometime mainly I used to stay even over because as my dad was the imam of the masjid, the same madrasa where I was. My dad was the imam there. So sometimes I have to stay to the end. Sometimes I even have to stay with the teachers to the end. Because anyway, my dad's gonna stay to the end. Because he used to teach adults after the madrasa. Until my dad, until my dad told me that he will take me to Yemen for me to continue further my studies of Qur'an. So I went to Yemen, and I stayed there for 8 months. I stayed in Yemen. I came back again to UK, and I've had a teacher. His name is Shaykh Salim from Nigeria. I carried on with him till the end of 2009, December, and that's where we went to Egypt in December.
Brilliant. The experience in Yemen, share a little bit about that.
So in Yemen,
how different was it to learning in the UK, for example?
So where I was in Yemen, it was a place called Ma'bar, and it's a city in Yemen. Is in West Yemen, near Sana'a. So they had a masjid, or is a markaz called Dar al-Hadith بمعبر, under a sheikh called Sheikh Muhammad Imam, and he was the student of Sheikh Muqbil Hadi al-Wadi'i, Dammaj. So in that markaz, they are following the same curriculum
as Dammaj.
As after Dhuhr, after the salawat, they have dars am, like a public lesson for all the students, and it's must to attend that lesson. If that lesson is instructed by the sheikh of the markaz, Sheikh Muhammad Imam. So we used to have after Dhuhr tafsir of Imam al-Sa'di. Then after the lesson, straight away he used to make the students to write a hadith of al-lu'lu' wal-marjan fima ittafaqa fihi shaykhan. So we have to write that hadith on a notebook, and we must memorize it by Asr time.
Allah.
So when Asr time come, we have another lesson, Sahih al-Bukhari lesson. So before he begins the lesson, he used to tell man hafadh al-hadith, who memorized the hadith that I gave Dhuhr. SubhanAllah, if anyone doesn't memorize, you'll get
Asa.
Afa.
Allahu Akbar.
Even if you are old, you are beard, you have white beard.
What's the age range in that group?
What
did it start from? Like, what was
it
the
was
lowest?
open.
So
Open
the
to all
lowest age in that
Maybe the lowest age of that group, maybe I would say maybe 11 years old.
till which age, for example?
Till 60, 70.
Wow. And everybody Asa.
Everyone, yeah. Even I remember the first time I saw a man that he got a white beard and he's getting beaten up by the sheikh.
He's getting the licks.
Because he didn't memorize the hadith. That was something new for me. Like, I've experienced something very, very strange. And I have to ask, how can he get hit?
Old school discipline, yeah.
Yeah. A man with a white beard and his son is with him. The sheikh, he got him up to read the hadith. So I didn't memorize it. The sheikh brought him up in front of maybe about 500, 1,000 students sitting down. And the sheikh, he actually hit him in front of everyone.
He was no violent, huh?
No, he only hit him on the hand.
Okay, that's fine.
It was only on the hand. And I like to myself, wow, how can an old man get? Of course, because I fresh came from UK, and we don't know that. We never heard an old man getting hit by a teacher with his old age. So that was something new for me, seeing an old man getting hit by a sheikh because he didn't memorize the hadith. So I remember they have a little story what happened for me as well. So from the students that didn't memorize the Qur'an, they used to sit behind the shoebox.
Hiding, huh?
Hiding, yeah. And the sheikh is very, very clever. He doesn't actually pick the people that are raising their hand up. He actually chooses the people that they're hiding under, they're the shoe rack. So the sheikh, he does this and do that. So he says, the boy that, the guy, the man or the boy that's sitting behind the shoe rack, stand up and read the hadith.
Yeah.
Yeah. One day what happened? The sheikh, he chosen me to read the hadith.
Allah.
At that time, my Arabic was very, very bad. I didn't know how to speak Arabic at all. I was struggling. Maybe كيف حالك is the thing that I just knew in Arabic language. So he told me to stand up and read the Hadith. And I'm looking left and right. I don't know what to do. So
Your father was with you?
no,
Okay.
I was alone. So alhamdulillah, one of the students they backed me up. Said the boy doesn't know Arabic. The Sheikh said, I'll allow you. You can sit down. Like next time I choose you and you have to read the Hadith. You don't read the Hadith. He will show me the stick. Allah.
Allah.
So that's it. The Sheikh even he has like subhanallah, he has haiba. Like even if you want to give him salam, they have a little fear that a person will fear.
Reverence,
A
yeah.
reverence fear that you can't even speak to the Sheikh the way how you want to speak to him, or even ask him a question. I remember the first time I've asked one of the brothers that were studying there. I told the brothers, I want to give the Sheikh salam. I want to meet the Sheikh. Subhanallah, that masjid is very, very big, and he has one of the largest ever maktaba, maybe over 1,000 or more than 1,000, 10,000 books.
Wow.
And the Sheikh has a little office in that maktaba. So I went to meet the Sheikh. I was shivering. I was so scared that I thought the Sheikh would even tell me to read that.
Hadith.
But alhamdulillah, that was in Yemen. For 8 months. So ما بين
المشرق والمغرب.
ما بين المشرق والمغرب.
Allah. After Yemen.
After Yemen of Egypt.
How did the story unfold? You went to أرض الكنانة, الدنيا.
الدنيا.
What led you to Egypt?
What led me to Egypt is my mother. May Allah have mercy on her.
Ameen.
She used to like Egypt. You know, as she used to love watching the Egyptian أفلام.
مسلسلات في رمضان.
So she used to like the way how they speak, the culture, and so she said, you know what, I really need to take my children there, and I want them to learn Arabic and Qur'an in Egypt.
جميل.
So to the end of 2009, we went to Egypt, December 2009. So I went to Egypt. The first month, it was all ترفيهي, like we're just going out. أهرامات, شرم الشيخ,
أبو الهول.
we're just going out. أهرامات, أبو الهول.
كورنيش.
I didn't know the name of that.
الفلوكة.
I didn't know the name that time. So I went all there, and then after that, بعد هذا we were looking to study our Qur'an.
You went with your family there?
Yeah, went with my family.
Okay.
So one of my friends, one of my mother's friend, she took her children to a madrasa, a Somali madrasa. They call it Dukfi.
في القاهرة.
في القاهرة in 5 أكتوبر.
الله أكبر.
مدينة 5 أكتوبر. And the Sheikh was معلم عبد الفتاح.
Somali?
Somali.
جميل.
He used to he had a Somalian madrasa, like a proper culture, Somalian culture in Qahira, in 5 October. And so we started going to that madrasa. And that madrasa is like from the morning. It starts from 7 a.m. So we have 2 times, 7 a.m. till 12. We go back home, pray Dhuhr, have lunch, and we come back Asr time. And then we carry on from Asr till Maghrib. And that's the day is done. In that madrasa is Hifz. So that time I was in Surah, when I went to that madrasa, I was in Surah Taha. So I've memorized from Nas till Taha between London and Yemen. And then when I've reached Surah Taha, I went to Egypt, and I've began Surah Taha with Muallim Abdul Fattah. So Muallim Abdul Fattah, when I was, his way of teaching the students, he will give them maybe a page or half a page until maybe when they reach around Surah Yusuf alayhi salam or Hud, Yunus, he will start giving the student, increasing it, maybe around, even it could be 10 pages a day. And we used to do every day except except for Friday. Friday with our
Ijazah.
Ijazah.
No.
So I've memorized from Surah Taha until Surah Nas, until Surah until Surah A'raf وأنفال عفوا until Surah Al-An'am. From Surah Taha till An'am, I've memorized to under Shaykh Abdul Fattah. During I was reading to Shaykh Ma'alim Abdul Fattah, I wanted to recite to an Egyptian Shaykh, because you know the madrasa, the Shaykh wasn't actually focused on the tajweed and the tadqiq and the tasheeh. He just wanted you to memorize the Qur'an.
Yeah.
Hifz. So it was a day that I was praying Jum'ah in one of the masajid in Egypt. It's called Masjid Muhammad Ahmad Raghib in 6th October. And they were giving out i'lanat, they were giving out advertisement that they've opened a new institute in 6th October called معهد معلمي القرآن الكريم تحت إشراف فضيلة الشيخ أشرف عامر.
جميل. From قناة الرحمة.
From قناة الرحمة. So I've took that leaflet. Told my mom, you know, I'm looking to go to this institute. At least I want to read to an Egyptian Sheikh. And so the next day we went to the Ma'had. Subhanallah, the story of me and Shaykh Ashraf. Shaykh Ashraf that time he was wearing a suit and a tie. You see him in Qanat al-Rahmah. Like he doesn't wear like
Jalabiya.
Jalabiya. He only wears the thing. So I was speaking to him for almost an hour. Then I told him I want to recite to Shaykh Ashraf. Then he was like, I'm Shaykh Ashraf. I was like, wow, I thought Shaykh Ashraf would be coming with Azhari, Coca-Cola. So he told me that my qism, or the level where I teach, is called Qism al-Sanad, where the student recite the entire Qur'an and in the end we give them Sanad and Ijazah. I didn't know what was an Ijazah is. And I told the Shaykh, I just want to read to you. As Shaykh, I just want to read to you. And okay, no problem. So he gave me like one day, he told me to come tomorrow. Dhuhr time you can begin. I remember I began Fatiha. Subhanallah. It looks like I've never read Fatiha in my life. The amount of mistakes that he caught me. I told the Shaykh, does that mean my teacher is teaching me wrong? The Shaykh, he didn't leave me. Every letter he's correcting me. Tajweed, Makharij, Waqf al-Ibtida'. He was going crazy on me. So even that time, my memorization was so weak, very weak. Until it came to a time, the Shaykh said, you know what, I had enough. I'm going to put you in a lower level. Because this level, I don't think so you can carry on with it. Shaykh, please, I beg you, give me one chance. One more chance. I just want to read to you. I don't want to read to anyone else. I used to see it that it's something very big, me reading to you. Shaykh Ashraf Amir. So subhanallah, I didn't carry on. I didn't finish off with my khatma. So during I was reading to the Sheikh told me I have program in Qira'āt al-Rahda.
Allah.
So I want to invite you one day to the Qanah. I was very young. I think I was 13 years old. First time going to Qira'āt al-Rahmah. So that was the first time I went to Qira'āt al-Rahmah. Then I carried on with him, but subhanallah, I didn't finish off my khatma due that not only I was playing about too much. As a young kid, I want to go out, play about. I wasn't actually serious with my khatma. On top of that, I was coming to UK every year because I've got a heart condition that always every year I have to do a checkup. So that one as well, he used to make me cut a lot of my lessons.
Yeah, mashallah. So you completed the Quran with Sheikh Hunak, Shaykh Ashraf?
No, I didn't complete with him.
Okay.
So that was 2011, 12, 13. Then I went to school in Egypt. I used to go to Azhar.
So you left the Somali madrasa?
I only had so the way how I completed my khatma is I was in Surah Al-An'am. Then I went to Shaykh Ashraf. I read Baqarah, Al Imran, Nisa, Ma'idah, An'am.
Again?
Because that khatma ijazah.
Yeah, okay.
So I have to start from Fatiha again. So I've begun Fatiha, I've memorized Baqarah, Al Imran, Nisa, Ma'idah, An'am, and that's it. I've completed my hifz like that. Because An'am, then A'raf, then that's it. I've completed my hifz.
Okay, so you did the Sab'at Tiwal at the end.
Yeah,
Okay.
with Shaykh Ashraf.
Okay.
And that was that's supposed to be the Khatmat Sanad or Khatmat
Okay.
Ijazah. I stopped until Surah At-Tawbah. I remember.
Yeah.
I stopped at Shaykh Ashraf Amir till Surah At-Tawbah. And then I went to school in Egypt, Azhar. You know, the Ma'ahid al-Azhariyya, I'dadiyya. So that as well took me away from reading to the Shaykh, because, you know, the imtihanat and the durus or the subjects what we have in Azhar.
Well, what subjects did you have in the Ma'ahid?
We have, of course, it's like a normal school. We have English, maths, where they're called as English, Haddafa, Jabr. We had science, and that was all in Arabic. And I didn't know how to speak Arabic. My Arabic was very, very bad. Very bad. Even the kids at school, they used to laugh at me. They used to laugh at me. They used to laugh at me. Sometimes I took it to a boy, and I said to him, here. I remember that time. So they used to laugh at me so much. I used to change here to huwa here. I used to be like a clown.
It's part of the process, I guess.
You know the school in Egypt. I used to be like the clown. The clown. Every time they want to make a fun, they will call me and تعال كلم عربي ونصدعنا.
Sheikh Hassan's got the jokes, yeah. Oh.
So that school there, it was tough for me as well. Like, you know, the children and the subject was too hard for me, because, you know, as a person that's from UK and he does an Arabic language is not his first language, and all the subjects are all in Arabic, it was so difficult. We had maths in Arabic, we had science in Arabic. English was in English. We had, on top of that, we have مطالعة, نصوص, نحو. We had fiqh, we had handasa, we had hadith, we had tafsir, Qur'an, tajweed. We had that. We had to study that in the school, and we had imtihanat as well, like imtihan tahriri, imtihan shafawi. And it was very, very difficult. I remember, like, I was in Ula Adadi, and that year I couldn't pass. Every time I used to, كل مرة أعيد السنة.
Allah.
So this, but then after that, 2015, I came back to London again. So I said to myself, you know what, I need to actually focus on Qur'an. So I found a sheikh on internet, on Facebook. His name is Shaykh Hassan Mustafa Yunus, and he's my first ever sheikh. I've read the Khatma of Hafs, and that Khatma took 1 month.
1 month, huh?
1 month. I used to read to him every day, one juz.
No.
Online. That was in 2015. Then 2016, I came back to Egypt.
That was your first Ijazah, huh?
Well, my first Ijazah, Hafs. Then 2016, I came back. I said, that year is the year of Qira'āt. So I've applied.
Your hifz was good by then?
Yes.
Okay.
No. So I've applied a institute. Or before that, I was reading. I was looking for a sheikh to recite to and study the Qira'āt under. So one of my friends, he recommended me to go to one of the imams of Masjid al-Khulafa al-Rashidin. His name is Shaykh Hassan Adli. He used to be one of the imam of Masjid Jami' Amr bin As. So I began with him Qalun, and they used to have a dawra of Sharh al-Shatibiyya by Sheikh Ali Baza. He used to give us Sharh every Wednesdays. And every day between Maghrib and Isha, I used to read to Shaykh Hassan Adli in his masjid in Khulafa al-Rashidin. So Shaykh Hassan Adli, I said to myself, you know, reading Maghrib time, I like reading in the morning and
when you're fresh, yeah.
When I'm fresh, and even having multiple teachers, that's the time I started.
Yeah.
So I applied in Dar al-Husari, Dar Shaykh al-Husari.
In 6 October,
In 6 October, yeah. And I started reading to one of the previous A'imma in Masjid al-Husari. Now he's resigned in America. His name is Sheikh Mahmoud Sha'ban. I read to him Khatma of Hassan Asim in the way of Tayyiba, Qasr al-Mufassal.
Jamil.
And that Khatma took me around a year, because I used to read to him once a week. I used to go to him in Hosari once a week. It was every Monday. During I was reading to Shaykh Mahmoud Sha'ban, they had other mashayikh was teaching in the institute. So what it is, sometimes you have to read 30 minutes and then wait, and they have other students that want to read to the mashayikh. So one day I don't just read one time and go. I used to like read multiple times, go to the sheikh and read multiple times. So the sheikh told me wait in the other room until I call you, then you can come and carry on. While I was in the other room, I met all of my friends that I met him in Sheikh Ashraf Amir. So I saw him in Hufari. I told him, what are you doing? He told me, I'm reading to a sheikh called Sheikh Tariq Abdul Hakim in the other room. I told him, what are you reading to? He said, I'm reading Qira'āt al-Ashr al-Kubra. So I told him, will it be possible if I go and listen the way how Qira'āt al-Ashr al-Kubra read like? I've never had it in my life. He told me, yeah, no problem. I'm going to go inside, give the sheikh salam, and I will introduce the sheikh to you and tell the sheikh that you want to sit down and listen to the khatna. I told him, no problem. I went to him with the sheikh. He went and he gave the sheikh salam. I gave the sheikh salam too. And the brother was introducing the sheikh to me. Like he's saying, his name is Hassan from UK, and he, mashallah, he read to Sheikh Ashraf Amir, and now he's reading to Sheikh Mahmoud Sha'ban, and he memorized a couple of the mutun, and he knows Shatibiya. The sheikh told me, have you memorized Shatibiya? I told him no. He said, how many lines do you know? I told him it's about 300, 400. He told me, can you see that door? I told him, get out. I was like to myself, like, how dare you telling me that you want to sit down and listen to Qira'āt al-Ashr al-Kubra and you didn't even memorize Shatibiya yet?
Wow.
I started being scared now, like, wow, really, this sheikh is so easy. I went to the office, I said, who is Sheikh Tariq? I would actually know who he is. They told me, you go to a teacher that you don't even know who he is. I told him, yeah, I don't know you. They told me, Shaykh Tariq, be careful. خلي بالك with Shaykh Tariq. They're like, be careful with Shaykh Tariq. Shaykh Tariq is one of the biggest scholars in this institute. Like, he's alim here. I told him, will it be possible if I read to him? He said, what do you want to read to him? I said, I want to recite to him متن الشاطبية كاملة to receive an sanad. So, after the brother finished his lesson, one of the admin went to Shaykh Tariq and he told Shaykh Tariq, they told Shaykh Tariq, this brother, you know the boy that you've told him to get out, he wants to read to you. He said, what did he want to read? He said he wants to read Matn al-Shatibiya onto you. He said, no problem, tell him to come next week, next Monday, and you could start the Matn. So they told me the Sheikh accepted you to go and read to him. I was very, very happy. So Monday, I came back the next Monday. I was still reading to Shaykh Mahmoud Sha'ban because I was ready to read Shaykh Mahmoud Sha'ban. So now I'm reading to two sheikhs in that same day. So I read Shaykh Mahmoud Sha'ban and Shaykh Tariq.
Yeah.
The first class with Shaykh Tariq was Matn al-Shatibiya. I read to the Sheikh from the beginning of the Matn until Bab al-Fath wal-Imalati wa Bayn al-Lafdayn, over about 350 lines. That first day. And the second day, I've read from Fath wal-Imala until Surah al-Baqarah. Or until al-Baqarah. And the other lesson from Baqarah till Kahf. Until I complete the whole entire Matn Shatibiya, then the Sheikh gave me Sanad, Ijazah, Muttasila until Imam al-Shatibi rahimahullah ta'ala. After I got the Ijazah, the Sheikh said, you have to carry on with me. I told the Sheikh, what should I read next? He said, read Matn al-Durra and I'll give you Ijazah. Same thing. I read to him Matn al-Durra from the beginning to the end and he gave me Ijazah. Then I read to him Matn Tayyibat al-Nashr and he gave me Ijazah. And then I began with him. Then he told me, I want you to begin the Khatma. I told him, which Khatma? He told me, you choose any Khatma you want to read to me and you could read.
Ifrad or Jam.
Yeah, Ifrad. So I've began Riwayat Qalun an Nafi', the whole entire Qur'an from cover to cover, and he gave me Ijazah on it. Then also Shaykh Mahmoud Sha'ban gave me Ijazah. While I was reading to Shaykh Tariq, the admins had offered me to recite to other mashayikh in the ma'had. So I read to Shaykh Nasr Abdul Mu'ti. I began with him al-Jam' al-Qira'at al-Ashr al-Thura. I read to him whole entire Baqarah bil-Jam' مع الشاطبية والدرة. And also I was doing Sharh al-Shatibiyya again with Jam' by Shaykh Sultan Hussein. And Shaykh Sultan Hussein, he's one of my father's Shaykh.
Allah.
My father read to him Qira'at Asim, the whole entire Khatma in 2011 in Egypt. I remember I used to go with him, Shaykh Sultan Hussein. So my father read to Shaykh Sultan Hussein, and in Hufari, he was teaching me and the other mashayikh Sharh al-Shatibiyya. The Shaykh, mashallah, is very, very renowned scholar, and he's very, very strong in Dabt and Fawasil, Ilm al-Rasm, and he was the عضو اللجنة مراجعة المصحف الشريف.
جميل.
And he read to Shaykh Ahmed al-Zayyat, rahmatullahi alayhi. Also, I forgot to mention Shaykh Tariq also. He was one of the part of the committee of the لجنة مراجعة المصحف in Azhar al-Sharif, where he checks the musahif before the public in the bookshops now.
نعم ما شاء الله.
And so 2017, we'll go back to 2017. I started reciting to mashayikh online when I came to UK. So
It's a new world, huh?
yeah, online was another one now. So I read to Shaykh Amr Ukasha. I read to him قراءة Abi Amr al-Basri and Imam al-Kisa'i and رواية ورش عن نافع. And also I read to him الشاطبية درة طيبة, Shaykh Amr Sayyid Ukasha. But the Khatma, I went to him in his, he lives in a place called Khusus. I went to him there and I read to him and he gave me an ijazah. Also I read to Shaykh Najm al-Din Zakariya Abdul Salam al-Jamajamuni. I read to him online as well. I read to him قراءة Ibn Amir al-Shamir. For the whole full Khatma. And Shaykh Najm al-Din, don't forget his father, Shaykh Zakariya Abdul Salam, one of the أعلى سندا في العالم, that he read to Shaykh Fadil Abu Layla.
نعم.
So نعم, I read to his son قراءة Ibn Amir al-Shami. Also I read to Maryam, Shaykh Mah al-Mar'i. So I don't only read to males, I read to females as well.
Allah.
I read to Maryam Mah al-Mar'i. I read to قراءة حمزة ابن حبيب الزيات براوييه خلف وخلاد من طريق الشاطبية. Also I've recited to her شاطبية and درة.
جميل.
And تحفة جزرية. Also I read to Shaykh Hassan Jibril رحمة الله عليه قراءة عاصم. I read to Shaykh Hassan Jibril to ختمة of Imam Asim in the way of شاطبية, and also another ختمة قراءة عاصم in the way of طيبة with fact on رواية حفص.
نعم.
And من ثاني. Then after that I went 2017, same year, I went and I visited a couple of مشايخ the قراءة شرفية. One of them was Shaykh Abdul Fattah Madkur rahimahullah ta'ala. Visit in his house in Giza, Abu Numrus. And I read to him رواية حفص عاصم من طريق الشاطبية, بعض القرآن and not the whole Qur'an. I read to him a couple of the Qur'an, and read to him also the Mutun, تحفة جزرية, and also متن سلسبيل الشافعي في علم التجويد. And also I've met Shaykh al-Allama Abdul Basit Hashim rahimahullah ta'ala. Also I read to him حفص عاصم اختبارا وإجازة تحفة جزرية. Also I met فضيلة الشيخ الدكتور محمد توفيق النحاس رحمة الله عليه. I read to him also اختبارا حفص and اختبارا some of the متون شاطبية, درة, تحفة جزرية, and أربعين نووية. And من ثاني. Also I read to قراءة أبي جعفر المدني to Shaykh محمد المهيدي. And I read قراءة يعقوب to Shaykh أيمن مغازي قن. and I've recited Qira'āt خلف العاشر to two Shaykh. Shaykh Maryam al-Mar'i, and also I read to Shaykh Muhammad al-Mahidi. Also I read to two female mashayikh, shaykhat, Shaykh Tanadhur al-Najuli and Shaykh Sami'a al-Binasi. I've read to them as well, اختبارا, and they gave me ijazah in Qira'āt Asim.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
And also I read to Shaykh, I don't want to forget, Fadil Shaykh Safad Salim, rahmatullahi alayhi. He's one of the closest students of Shaykh Ayman Rushd Sweet. I read to him Jazariya. Alhamdulillah, I've got the sanad of Imam Shaykh Dr. Ayman. So between me and Dr. Ayman is one
person.
Also, recently, I've read to Shaykh Dr. Yahya al-Uthani.
Allahu Akbar. I seen the video, yeah.
Yeah, I read to him also Tuhfa and Jazariya, and he gave me ijazah of it as well.
Brilliant.
Alhamdulillah.
So after academic studies, Qira'āt, Ijazat, these things in Egypt, you went back to the UK or?
Most of the khatamat, what I've read to the Mashaykh was all in UK.
Okay.
It was all online.
Online.
Yeah.
How much percentage of your Ijazat are online and how much are in person?
Majority of them are online.
But you studied the main ones before in person. You had the Suhba and the Tarbiyah. How do you differ online learning to learning in person? What's the benefits? What's the...
Wallahi, reciting online and reading in person, of course, is much better.
No doubt.
100 times better. Why? Because...
But in which instance would you recommend somebody to read online? What are the prerequisites? What do they have to complete?
I think for the people that they want to read online is for students that already been through going to teachers face to face, maybe about multiple of teachers or maybe about 2 or 3 teachers, and he has the manners and the character, and then after that you could study online. But if a person is just like he's a beginner, it's good. Studying online is a lot of benefit under it.
Absolutely.
We cannot say it's not benefit. Studying online, they have a lot of benefit under it. Like a lot of benefit. But I think so we prefer to say studying in person, of course, is much 10 times better than studying online, because when you're with the teacher, you know how the teacher's pronouncing the letter, you know how he's reciting it, and the teacher's looking at you without the network is being poor, without the teacher telling me, you know what, my internet is poor, let me call you back. Everything is very, very easy, and the access is very, very easy now.
Yeah, I guess learning online is an entry point, really. You lose out on a lot of benefits, but you're still learning, I guess, for somebody who's not learning to going online, maybe it's good.
And it's good. We cannot like to abandon studying online. We can't abandon it.
Of course.
Because they have a lot of benefits. I have a lot of people that benefited learning online a lot. In fact, I know people telling me that I've benefited reciting online more than benefiting reciting in person. Some people, they told me that, and some people they told the opposite way. Me reciting on person, I benefit more than reading online. So every student has their own khasa'is.
Yeah, mashallah.
The student needs to find a teacher that actually fears Allah and listens to that student, because in the end is an amana. You're looking after that student, and that student is carrying your name later on. So how would you want that student to carry your name? Do you want him to carry your name as when anyone asks him a question, I don't know. Why don't you not know? Because my shaykh previously used to just mute me, and he never used to answer me back when I used to ask him a question. So that tarbiyah, it needs to be with that teacher. The teacher needs to build that student, because in the end, the teacher doesn't only give the student ijazah, that's it. When he says ajaztuka, that means ashhadu, I testify that your recitation is like my recitation when I read to my teacher.
Absolutely.
The teacher is testifying it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even said in the Qur'an, satuktabu shahadatuhum wa yus'alun. So the teacher is actually testifying that student's recitation is similar as his recitation to his teacher. So how how does other student will expect that that teacher will be? You'll be the same as how his previous teacher be, because they will say if your recitation is like that, how's your teacher's recitation will be? So so that's the most important. Like when the teacher is teaching, that amana needs to be there. And they have two amana. They have amana ilmiya and amana naqliya. So both of them must be. And also, alhamdulillah, I don't want to forget this as well, as benefit. I told you previously that I am now studying the Qira'āt al-Ashr al-Kubra to Shaykh Muhammad Salim Al-Azhari, the Imam of Jami' al-Azhar. So, subhanallah, when I've asked the Shaykh regarding of Ijazah, and he told me that it's not all about Ijazah.
Absolutely.
And they have a word that I want to actually pick on. The scholars, they say إجازتك أو إتقانك هو إجازتك. إتقانك هو إجازتك. Or they used to say الإجادة قبل الإجازة.
Yeah.
So we need
for the benefit of the viewers, what does that mean?
It means that the perfection is better than the ijazah.
Or before it takes precedence, yeah.
Yes. So you need to perfect the recitation. Why? Because people, they're not going to look at your ijazah. People will look at your recitation.
Absolutely.
Because when you are going to present a recitation, you're not presenting the certificate, you're presenting your own self. So if they listen to you and you have a lot of problems of your ahkam, your makharij, you can't pronounce properly, what would they say? They'll say, if his recitation is like that, how is this teacher's recitation going to be?
Sahih.
So that's why that word, itqanuka huwa ijazatuk.
Nah.
Your itqan is your ijazah. A person actually, like even us, subhanAllah, we study and we read a lot, but we still be afraid to teach.
Wallahi, yeah, it's true.
Like sometimes even me, when I do teach, I feel afraid. As I'm qualified, I've read everything to my shaykh, all the qira'at, all the mutun, but thingy, sometimes I told myself, should I tell my teacher? Wallah, it came to a time that sometimes I actually asked my teacher for idhn, to ask him, will it be possible if I teach? The Shaykh told me, I already wrote on the back of your ijazah, وَقَدْ أَذَنْتُكَ أَن تَقْرَأ وَتُقْرِئ حيث شاء متى شاء في أي قطر نزل وفي أي مكان حل وارتحل فيه. I told him, I just want to say it so I can be satisfied.
Absolutely, this is a high level of accountability that we all need to aspire to be honest. And Qur'an is amana, yeah.
Of course, it's amana.
So the shurut for the teacher, what they should be adhering to?
لأنه مؤهل. They say the teacher needs to be مؤهل for the qira'ah that he wants to give. That he needs to read that qira'ah before to his teacher. And his teacher gives him an idhn to teach that qira'ah to your student.
Absolutely. So ideally completing a khatma of the Qur'an by recitation, even if it says in the certificate that, you can teach anywhere, wherever you go to anybody you want.
Of course.
But the strategy or the way to teach is different to the way you're receiving it. So this is something that somebody must also learn with the teacher.
Of course. Of course. The amana and the talaqqi wal mushafaha, even the way how his teacher to him, he needs to deliver it to his teacher.
Yeah, that delivery. There's often a gap between receiving it and delivering it.
Yes. So some people, they will receive in full, but they will deliver in half.
Absolutely, because there's not enough time learning to prepare or train for that.
Of course, of course. And as well, as before, some of the mashayikh, they used to do khatma in two. They call it khatmat al-tadrib and khatmat al-ijazah.
Yeah.
Khatmat al-tadrib, they say, do a lot of mistakes. I'll correct you.
No. This is exactly what we do here.
Do a lot of mistakes and I'll correct you. But the second khatma, I don't want you to do the same mistake what you've done before that. So they used to teach us khatmat al-tadrib and khatmat al-ijazah. Khatmat al-tadrib is something else, and khatmat al-ijazah is totally something else. It's not the same.
Ideally, which kind of level of student would you recommend, or would it be fit for them to partake in a course of ijazah?
For a student that wants to pass to join a course on ijazah, that student needs his recitation needs to be clear, on point.
This cannot be learnt later on.
Yeah, on point. Like that student, maybe he read 3-4 khatmas to his teachers, not ijazah, like maybe one khatma tadrib, khatma ista'dad, and his recitation very good, and his teacher gives him a shahada that, or gives him a green card saying, you know what, you are set to go to do your khatma ijazah. That's the type of level of a student needs to do the khatma ijazah. That his teacher tells him, you know what, عيد الختمة وهذه الختمة سيكون, or return back to the khatma again, or start the khatma again, and this khatma will be khatmat ijazah. That is after when the teacher asks the students. Example, his recitation very clear. During the khatma, the teacher needs to ask the student, علمية, what's the حكم of this ayah? What's the حكم of alif lam ra? What's the حروف المقطعة? What's the mad? What's the غنة? Give him some أسئلة علمية, so when the sheikh tells him قد أجزتك أن تقرأ وتقرئ, he's saying it in a مرتاح way, that he is satisfied. He will say, this student, he can carry on my lineage.
No.
He could carry on. I won't be scared, like, or I won't.
Fish dogs.
Yeah, I'm very satisfied with his recitation. I'm satisfied with his ilm as well. Like, he can deliver. I'm very satisfied with his adab, and I'm very satisfied with him explaining to students. So I do not have no problem. So when he says وقد أجزتك أن تقرأ وتقرئ في أي مكان حل وارتحل وفي أي قطر نزل, he is saying it in a very peace way. Now,
how does the student approach the sheikh now? I see you sharing some personal notes. You said somebody reached out to you saying, yo sheikh, how many ijazah do you have? Can I read to you? What's your thoughts on?
For a student to approach the sheikh, of course, the student needs to approach a sheikh in a very mannered way. Let's see, when a person in uni approach to his instructor or his lecturer, how do they approach? How do they approach?
Hi sir, can you please in a kind way, yeah.
So why can't a Qur'an teacher be spoken to like that?
Absolutely.
Because he's the same instructor that is instructing you to read something better than
Kalam Allah.
That's the Allah's word. So it's better for a student, or the way how to give salam. When you are texting a sheikh, to not just text salamu alaikum, how are you? I want to read this. No. To say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Fadilatul Shaykh? My name is Fulan. I'm from this country. And tell him about his background of his Qur'an recitation. If he's hafiz or not. Who did he read to? Even if the teacher doesn't know. Who did he read to? Where did he study? Mm-hmm. And then to say, I really love to study under you.
How you'd apply for a job? You'd not only put a CV in, you'd write a cover letter.
Of course.
Why you're good for the role.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just the same thing.
No.
Why are you good for? What benefit will you take, or which kind of new thing will you gain when you are reading to that teacher?
Yeah.
You know, when you are applying to a job, they'll say, "What do you have to bring to our job?
Bring to our team, yeah.
Yeah. What new do you have so we can so you can
so we can pay you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Same thing.
No.
So a student, especially when he wants to read online to a sheikh, when he's doing a message, or when he's messaging the sheikh, it's better to him to message in one message, to not message like Salamu Alaikum, then after 4 or 5 hours to say his name, after 4 or 5 hours, I want to read to you. The teacher's not gonna He's not gonna take that student as serious, and when I say the student is not. So the best way is to read. If you want to learn online, to write one full message, to salam, to say salam alaikum, to tell the Shaykh how his health, to introduce yourself, and what is your level in Qur'an, so the teacher will know which level he can put you in.
Naam, mashallah. What are things that you've seen from the Shabab al-Mustaqbal these days in their approach to the Mashayikh, especially for Talab al-Ilm?
The way how they speak. Yo, Ustad. Yo, Shaykh. Can I read to you? Yo, Shaykh. How many ijazah do you have? Yo, who did you read to? How many names between you and the Prophet? What's your list in the chain? What's your list? I mean, what would that student? What will he benefit if I actually tell him who did I read to and what's my list?
And you forgot the other one. How much does the ijazah cost?
Yeah, how much does the ijazah cost?
Yeah.
I mean, these kind of things. I mean, a teacher will never. And you know, to be fair, Shaykh Ilyas, when a student actually be like that, you will never reach anywhere. You will always stay in the same position. You will never progress.
Yeah. I guess this is a mindset, discipline, adabs, etiquette. Yeah, I think it's...
I think so. If that student is speaking like that to the teacher, I think so that's his normal way how he speaks to people.
Absolutely. I agree with you. The tarbiyah needs to be there before you even embark on an ijazah course.
No.
Say, for example, I've joined the ijazah course now. I'm mu'ahil. I've joined the ijazah course. What is upon me in my duration or course of study? How should I act? How should I be? What should I instill in my daily routine?
For a student.
No.
For a student, of course, he needs to act in according of, some of the teachers, they say, the students need to act in according with the Sunnah, the Qur'an and Sunnah, when they want to learn. Because he is going to be delivering, he is the second generation. He is the second generation. And his name is, they're putting him in a area where scholars are in, such as Imam al-Shatibi, Imam ibn al-Jazari, Abi Amr al-Dani. How do you think so that student needs to act and his name is part of that chain? He needs to act because he's going to be holding a very strong amana that people will be coming up to him, asking him some question. How do you think so he will act? Okay, if they say, a beginner will say, that means all the scholars before, they used to act like that.
Yeah.
Right? They'll blame the scholars from the past. They'll say, Abu Hamid al-Dani used to act like that with his students. Imam al-Shatibi used to act like that. The Prophet used to act like that. The Sahaba used to act like that.
Allah.
So he's given a bad image to the Sanad and given bad image to the Muqri'een from the Qudama and the past.
Speaking above the teacher, these basic things, what do you think about?
That's very, very dangerous.
Yeah. In an era where everybody has an opinion, they're free to post it wherever they want. They have rights, I guess.
Of course, like me now. We've read to a lot of teachers. Some teacher will maybe say an opinion that you maybe never took from the other teacher, or maybe the other teacher has something else. What do we do? سمعنا وأطعنا, Shaykh.
No.
Why? Because he is giving you the sanad in the end. He's giving you the ijazah. So you need to follow according the way how he's been taught. Maybe his teacher taught him like that. So that's the reason I have to listen. I have to follow his way because his teacher taught him that way.
What's the benefit of reciting to different teachers?
Yeah, reciting to different teachers. Same thing is adab. Because one teacher will say, read this way. Another teacher will say, read that way. So when you're reading with two teachers and when you're going to be teaching in future and you'll have a student reading in that way, you will say, you know what? I actually have a teacher who used to teach me that way.
Yeah.
So you will say,
I guess you learn hikmah, huh?
you learn a lot of
وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ.
hikmah. You learn a lot of hikmah through reading to multiple teachers.
And to know that there's اختلافات and
اختلافات.
the adab of
Example now, the ishmam of Qila and Ghida and Jia for Hisham and Ruwais and Kifa'i. They have madarif on it. The Egyptian way, they use it as طريقة الإفراز. The Syrian way, they use it طريقة الشيوع. And if you hear if you hear it, it's very
it's different.
Very different. So maybe if you read to a example now, you went to a Syrian sheikh or a Lebanese sheikh, a sheikh from Lebanon, and you read to him قيل, you say وإذا قيل. You say, I didn't read like that. I read وإذا قيل. He read with the shiyuh. So that's another way. That's another benefit of reading to multiple teachers, to know the difference between that madrasa, the madar. Naam.
Okay. Who are your favorite reciters?
My favorite reciters nowadays, I like Shaykh Muhammad Imran, rahmatullahi alayhi. I like Shaykh Muhammad Sadiq al-Mishawi. I like Shaykh Kamil Yusuf Bahtimi. I like
These are all Egyptian, by the way, right?
all the Egyptian, yeah. Also like Shaykh Abdul Rashid, Shaykh Ali Sufi.
Absolutely,
yeah. I like Shaykh Ahmed al-Masalawi's voice. Shaykh Abdul Hakim Abdul Latif, rahmatullahi alayhi. Yeah, these are the Qur'an that I like listening.
They're all Egypt influenced. How about non-Egypt influenced? Oh, I guess nobody can say that they're not.
Shaykh Omar al-Qazabiri.
Amazing.
From Morocco.
Mm-hmm.
I like Shaykh Omar al-Qazabiri so much. Like, he's one of my favorite reciters. Maybe from the Khalij, I would say Mishar al-Afasi.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. No.
Any of the young reciters?
Young reciters.
Maybe in your age category or younger?
No.
Why?
I don't hear anything that could make me like them. Like, they don't have nothing. Because you know, when I like a reciter, they have something specific like I like about them.
Like what, for example?
مثلا Shaykh Kamil Yusuf Bahtimi, I like the way how he recites. Because look, majority of them, when you see them reading Mujawwad, they're not only reading it for the sake of the tone, they're reading it for the sake of the meaning. All of them. Even if you hear Muhammad Sadiq al-Mishawi, rahimahullah ta'ala, you hear his recitation, he's not reading because of the tone, he's reading because of the khushu'. Even what I've heard about him, that when he used to recite, after recitation he used to cry a lot. That's why the people, they call him as-sawt al-baki. Naam. So when I do listen to a recitation, I don't look at it as a tone way. I look at it as the way how that qari impacted the ayat of him.
So you should not listen to the Qur'an for the melody or for the tone, really?
If for the impaction, like, I think so. That's the most important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for a person to impact.
الذي إذا سمعته يقرأ حسبته
يخشى الله. نعم.
Moving on to memorization, حفظ القرآن.
نعم.
Memorizing the Qur'an in the West. What advice would you impart regarding
memorizing Qur'an in the West? I advise for the person to choose good friends.
Okay.
Because you know, in the West they have a lot of problems, a lot of fitan a person can have. So I think so for a person to memorize Qur'an, he needs to have a very good
friend circle
that can motivate him in memorization. That they can even challenge them in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Doing
أمر
بالمعروف or doing they have مسابقات الخيرية, like, you know, not only doing competition as I'm better than you. No. Doing competition as I want you to be the same as me.
Mm-hmm.
We both together wants to be the same. I don't want you to be better than me. No, I don't want to be better than you. We want both to be the same. If you fall, I'll pick you up. as mean, i.e. I will help you. If I fall, you will help me. So, no. So we're helping each other.
What advice would you give to these people in terms of their daily revision techniques?
I give them, for a person that he's memorizing the Qur'an, I advise them to do daily with it. For a person to have a daily portion every time, like example, let's say for half of the Qur'an, he needs to read at least 3 juz a day. 3 juz a day for half of the Qur'an. That's minimum. 3 juz is minimum. For a person that he's memorizing his hifz, he needs to go back and revise what he's memorized so he does not forget. Very, very important.
What's the correct strategy to do muraja'ah?
The correct way or the best way, I would say, if you have a partner, if you have a friend, that you and a friend are memorizing the same place. The Somalians, what they do something called subha.
Amazing.
Maybe you and your friend, you can sit together and you can take one ayah, one page. That's another good method of revising the Quran as well. Both of it, this is
holding each other accountable.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Maybe one listens, one read, one listens. So, in that sense, both of them are taking rewards. You know why? The one who's reading is taking a reward, and the one who's listening is taking a reward.
Nah.
So both of them, they have same reward. Nah.
And the daily wird, not just for the recitation, for advanced students, for the mutun ilmiya also.
Of course. So if a students memorize mutun, such as Shatibiyya, Durra, Tayyiba, Tuhfa, Jazariya, he needs to have a daily wird. Same as he has a daily wird. They have a story that I wanna mention. It's in Arabic, but it's better for me to mention it in English so the viewers could benefit. They have a sheikh, and this story is Shaykh Abdul Rashid bin Shaykh Ali Sufi. He mentioned that when he used to be in Egypt, he studied under a sheikh called Shaykh Ismail al-Hamadani, rahimahullah ta'ala. Shaykh Muhammad Ismail al-Hamadani, he used to teach in the Sahn al-Azhar,
the courtyard.
The courtyard of Azhar. And he used to teach after Fajr. So the Shaykh, rahimahullah ta'ala, he used to read his daily Qur'an, he used to read it. But they have things that he never used to leave. Shatibiyya, Durra, Tayyiba. Every single day, he will have to read it and finish it off.
Wow.
Every day. He used to say, I used to read Shatibiyya before Fajr because it's a manzuma mubarakah. It's a blessed book. But Shaykh Abdul Rashid, he mentioned, he said, every day when I used to see him, he's either starting Tayyibat al-Nashr or he's either finishing it.
No.
He's either saying, قال محمد هو ابن الجزري يا ذا الجلال ارحمه واستر واغفري الحمد لله على ما يسر, until he goes back to وقد أجزتها لكل مقري وقد أجزتها لكل مقري كذا أجزت كل من في عصري رواية بشرطها المعتبر وقاله محمد بن الجزري يرحمه بفضله الرحمن فظنه من جوده الغفران. Then he used to add قرأه راجي الغفران محمد الإسماعيل الحمداني. Then he used to say اقرأ يا ابني. So before he used to begin his maqra'ah, he have to finish Tayyiba. He says these 3 books is wajib for me to finish every single day. They can't have a day that goes past until I memorize. Even I see Shaykh Masrawi as well.
Yeah, I seen the video of Shaykh Jamal with
yeah, they revise their mutun every single day. They say when I don't revise it, I forget it.
Allah.
Similar as me, like alhamdulillah, I've been doing the same as well. That I've tried completing my Shatibiyya, Durra and Tayyiba, like nearly like a weekly circle, not my, like leave my khatamat, I do weekly. Also, alhamdulillah, do my weekly mutun word of Shatibiyya and Durra and Tayyiba. Because, you know, a person, what's the purpose of a person memorizing something and he doesn't keep it?
Mm-hmm.
There's a problem.
Have they really memorized it? Yeah.
Yes. So if you wanna, if you not wanna keep the thing, don't memorize it. The whole point of you are memorizing it is for you to keep it and to make it to be in your mind. That anyone asks you, in anywhere, you can just read it.
Absolutely. Shaykh Hassan, how was your experience? You recently partook in the competition in Kenya. How was your experience there?
Wallahi, Kenya.
If you want to explain to the viewers what competition it was, the muhakkimin, the judges, who they were, what caliber of people were there,
So
and this we have the infamous bell.
for the competition we have participate is called Sheikh Ali Sufi International Qira'āt Award in Kenya. This competition I was watching it 2 years ago in Egypt while I was here online. The second year, I remember I was watching it, and one of the participants, maybe they forget the matan, and I used to say it on the screen like while I'm watching it. My wife told me, if you know it, why don't you enter it as well and participate as well? If you know the matan and you know the riwayah, why don't you try as well? And even Sheikh Jamal as well, he even encouraged me to participate in the competition. So to 2024, I've signed up the competition, and alhamdulillah I've took part in December.
So you flew to Nairobi?
I flew to Nairobi. The competition is under Jam'iyya Ansar al-Sunnah, Sheikh Abdul Razak Adam. This year is going to be the 4th year. So the competition by the 7 Qira'at. So they test you anywhere in 7 Qira'at with Matn al-Shatibiyya. So the first question they test you in the Qur'an, when you finish the 5 questions, then they'll test you in the Matn or the Matn. They'll say you've read this first question in this riwayah, you read this ayah in this riwayah, what's the dalil in Shatibiyya? So you have to give them the dalil. So of course we had in the panel, we had Sheikh Abdul Rashid ibn Sheikh Ali Sufi. He was the Ra'is, he was the grand judge of the competition. Then we have the عضو لجنة مراجعة عضو
لجنة
التحكيم. We had فضيلة الشيخ الدكتور أحمد عيسى الناصراوي, and we had Sheikh Dr. Walid al-Minisi, and we had also Sheikh Dr. Muhammad Ali Hatafai from Maghrib, and we had Sheikh Dr. Muhammad Falah Mandikar, and also the lastly, the one who tested me, فضيلة الشيخ سهيل إقبال, that he resigned in Medina. He's a مقرئ of قراءات العشر الصغرى والكبرى in Masjid al-Nabawi, and he is actually Pakistani. He's originally from Pakistan.
MashaAllah.
Sheikh Suhail Iqbal. Naam. So these are the judges. And the competitors who joined, it was 40 participants with 20 countries. For people from Somalia, from Kenya, from Ethiopia, from Egypt.
Africa is always strong in Qira'āt.
From Egypt.
Subhanallah.
From Syria. Sheikh Omar Hok. From Syria.
You met him there, huh?
Yeah, me and Sheikh Omar. Sheikh Omar Hok, we met in Kenya there. And a very, very nice person. Subhanallah, very nice person. Very solid as well. Subhanallah. Sheikh Omar Hok, he studied the Qur'an while he was young. And subhanallah, Shaykh Omar Hok, his story is very, very, is different. Like, he memorized Qur'an when he was around 8 or 9. He completed the Qira'āt al-Ashr al-Sughra when he was 11, 12.
Wow.
He completed Qira'āt al-Ashr al-Kubra when he was 15. So the Shaykh, subhanallah, and even he wrote some mudhakkirat of Qira'āt as well, like the usul and the farsh of Qira'āt. Shaykh Omar, mashallah, is very, very solid in Qira'at, especially when it comes to Qira'āt al-Ashr al-Kubra. He's very, very solid, Shaykh Omar. Shaykh Omar Abdul Ghani Hok, that's his name. He's from Halab, from Syria. And he's one of the teachers of the Ma'had. We have Ma'had Imam Abi Amr al-Dani online institute now. And he's one of the teachers there as well. Also, I've met Sheikh Abdurrahman Najah. From Egypt, from Egypt. And he is one of the winner of the competition. He took the first place, Sheikh Abdurrahman Najah. He's a kafif, like he's the brother, the Sheikh is kafif. Also he has Qira'āt al-Ashr al-Sughra and Kubra, and he is one of the Imam of Masjid al-Muhaymin or Masjid al-Ma'sarawi in Madinat Nasr. He's the Imam there. I met him there. I met a lot of brothers, subhanAllah, and that week, it was the week of Qur'an. Everyone buzzing of Qur'an, of mutun. People are reading everywhere. People are reading the mutun everywhere, subhanAllah. And I've met a lot of brothers, even Abdullah Bashir from America, that participated as well. Shaykh Abdullah Bashir, mashallah, he in competition, mashallah, the beast. He just finished Kuwait, and he took 3rd place, and he came to Shaykh Ali Sufi the same year, and he took the 2nd place.
Allah,
subhanAllah.
mashallah.
So he was very, I benefited a lot. I benefited a lot by tanbihat. I never knew what tanbih is. I never knew what fath mean. I never knew this. I've only knew all this in competition. SubhanAllah.
About the experience, how was the experience as a participant? It's your first time taking part in an international competition.
My
right?
first, and plus it was Qira'āt. It wasn't in Hafs.
It was not the recitation, just generally. Yeah.
It was in Qira'āt, and Lajnat al-Tahkim was very, very tough. Shaykh Ma'sarawi, Shaykh Abdul Rashid, scholars that scholars, very famous scholars that we always hear them, but imagine meeting them in person, and it was very, very beautiful. We used to have a liqa of the mashayikh and the participants, that we asked them questions ilmiya. They used to give us qisas, and it was very, very beautiful. Alhamdulillah, very, very beautiful. I really benefited a lot. Now,
If someone's not been to a competition, can you explain briefly what the process is like? For example, from the moment you land to the country of competing, to the logistics, how everything is set up, and the prizes, I guess.
No. So when you land the competition, subhanAllah, the competition of Shaykh Ali Sufi, he was like ashwa'iyya competition, I would say. It wasn't actually like a
organized purposefully.
Because Africa, and sometimes the internet is not working, and so the first day they told us is the day of the hafla iftitah. They're supposed to do the Qur'an, where it tells us who will be starting the first one.
Yeah.
The internet wasn't working.
You got to pick the thing.
The internet wasn't working.
No way.
Yeah. They told us, everyone come tomorrow prepared as you're going to be tested today.
So the Qur'an was done manually afterwards, or
they done it in the
automatically on the screen.
Yeah, automatically on the screen. That day it wasn't working, the internet. For the next day they've told everyone prepare as you're going to be taking part.
Okay.
So my name was number 1. I was like, لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. ده رئيس المسابقة قلت لهم استهدى بالله وصلى على النبي. Relax, chill. I told him I don't want to read first. I'm too scared. So then he went and he told them to change the Qur'an again. So I was number 7. So I was the Fatr. So we had two segments. We have the morning segment and the evening segment.
Yeah.
So I've done the evening segment. No.
So you're a bit more chilled out.
Yeah.
And how was the testing phase, like the questions?
So that question,
when you, from the moment that your name was called out, for example, they say Hassan Khalifa, فليتفضل مشكورا, and you go to your kursi, or maybe you could.
No, we don't pick people.
Okay, so they just ask you.
So we just sit on a chair, and they ask us. اقرأ من قوله تعالى برواية فلان.
How was your blood pressure when you sat on the chair?
My blood pressure was high. I was finished. Like I was shocked. Like I was. My head wasn't going. It's just frozen.
Yeah.
My brain was frozen. So the first question was, إنما يستجيب الذين يسمعون. In the رواية خلف الحمزة, I said, إنما يستجيب الذين يسمعون الموت يبعثكم. I had one bell. I forgot. That finished me.
When you hear that for the first time,
that finished me.
You could lose everything, right?
I lost everything. I lost the second ayah as well. وقالوا لولا نزل عليه آية من. Everything was blank for me. Someone was saying to me on thingy, Shaykh Abdul Rashid, I think so. He was saying it quite. وقالوا لولا نزل عليه وقالوا لولا. I wasn't hearing nothing. I was proper finished, like with blank. I couldn't hear anything. Especially and subhanallah, that's something that I don't want to forget about. In the musabaqa in Shaykh Ali Sufi,
no,
MPs were sitting there.
Yeah, I seen dignitaries and there was Sheikh Dr. Zakir Naik.
Zakir Naik, Sheikh Saeed Raji,
Yeah,
all of them were there. And imagine that by itself.
high profile individuals, yeah.
Of course, no,
So you had the first bell.
that's it.
Who did the bell?
I think so. It was Sheikh Mohammed Falah Mandikar, because what I've heard, that when the one who asks you does not bill you.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned.
Okay. Yeah, they usually separated. Yeah.
Yeah. So one has the tanbih, one does the tanbih.
One does the question, one does the tasheeh.
Yeah.
Ah.
So I think so was Sheikh Mohammed Falah Mandikar. He is the one, because I was watching the video a couple of weeks ago, and I was actually
Analyzing that.
I saw Sheikh Mohammed Falah Mandikar thing. I couldn't read at all. I only read one ayah. Everything was gone.
So the moment the first bell rang, you forgot everything.
I forgot everything. Everything was, my legs was shaking. When I got up the chair, you have something that actually I analyzed it later on, after a couple of months, when I was listening, that Sheikh Ahmed Ma'tarawi told Sheikh Abdul Rashid that he is good.
Mm.
This guy is better than everyone in UK. Like, when it comes to these things, is very good. But I don't know why the Qur'an have went away from his head.
Wow.
But maybe he was scared, or maybe something. I actually heard that little bit from the far. He was telling Sheikh Abdul Rashid after I got up from the chair. One of my friends who I was with, they actually wanted me to do it again. They wrote a letter.
Your friends wrote a letter to the committee.
Yeah.
For you to re-participate.
Yeah. And
based on the fact that you were maybe nervous or.
Yeah. Subhanallah, they didn't accept it because they.
Well, that's nice of them, I guess, right?
Because they're saying if one does it,
then
everyone will say, "Oh, I had this, I had problem." Everyone will start giving excuse to do it again. So I had an advice by Sheikh Walid al-Manisi. He advised me very, very good. He told me, look, imagine you done the same mistake. You know your name will be very bad. As a person done it again. That means you will not have no excuse. So he told me my advice is
go back to the drawing board.
Do it next year.
Yeah.
That's my advice. At least you have time to
prepare
very, very good.
And you know what's at stake, and you know mentally how to prepare for it. Oh, subhanallah. And other important events in that competition experience.
We had the Doctorate Alamiya that I've never ever attended in my life. My first time. They had a Shaykh, one of Shaykh Abdul Rashid's students. He done a bahth of Hayat al-Shaykh Ali Sufi, rahimahullah, مع القرآن.
Allah.
Shaykh Ali Sufi is Shaykh Abdul Rashid's father. He was the scholar and he was the mufti in Somalia. And he is the one who present the Qira'āt in Somalia. As Shaykh Abdul Rashid, he said in a lot of his halaqat that Somalia, Qur'an was very, very low. It came to a time that the ilm al-tajweed was gone. No one knew. Until when his father came, his father went to Egypt and he read to the mashayikh in Egypt. Then he came back to Somalia and he done a lot of maqra'as, and he started teaching people the correct way to recite the Qur'an with the Qira'āt. Shaykh Abdul Rashid's father, he's only qualified in the 7 Qira'āt. They have another story that Shaykh Abdul Rashid even mentioned. When his father went to Egypt, he said in Arabic, عازم والدي, Sheikh Mahmoud Khalil al-Husari invited my father into his house. And then he said, when my father went to Sheikh Husari's house, he saw a lot of barakat, a lot of things. Good house, good fruits. Everything was very nice. And he told him, Ya walad, he told Shaykh Abdul Rashid, oh boy, if you want to be like Shaykh al-Husari, you need to read the Qur'an, you need to follow the Qur'an, you need to study the Qur'an. You want to be like him? You need to follow the Qur'an as well. What gave him this? His own Qur'an. Even the Hadith say, من أراد الدنيا فعليه بالقرآن ومن أراد الآخرة فعليه بالقرآن ومن أراد معهما فعليه بالقرآن. So the Qur'an, you give Qur'an it time, and Qur'an will give you everything. Same thing that says, علم أولادك القرآن والقرآن سيعلمهم أولادك. Teach your children Qur'an, Qur'an will teach them everything. So the benefit of this story, what I've learned, that if you put Qur'an, everything further, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open things that you will never ever expect. No.
What's your take-back points from the competition? What do you take back in terms of experience, in terms of things that you learned?
The best thing about the competition.
What did it teach you personally as a first-time participant?
It taught me a lot of things. It taught me how to revise. It taught me how to stick with my word every single day. It taught me a lot of things that could make me prepare when I ever want to enter any competition. No.
What will you do differently for the next time you compete?
I will make that I will not be scared.
How will you avoid that?
By competing into national competition.
Okay.
Inshallah.
So you would advise somebody to partake in national competitions before they
go to the international stuff. My problem was I just jumped into
the deep end.
Straight away.
Allah. Inshallah khair. Inshallah. We're proud of your participation, and we're really happy to see you participate, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase you in goodness.
Allahumma ameen.
Barakallahu feekum, Shaykh Hassan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you for your time and your insights, and we greatly appreciate your coming to Yorkshire. How do you find Yorkshire, by the way?
It's my first time coming.
Yeah.
So it's very quiet than London.
It's quiet than London, huh? MashaAllah. We hope to see you here many, many more times in the future, inshallah. And we're also proud that you've joined our team recently, alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, and inshallah we'll meet again.
Inshallah.
Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.